listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from Cinemajaw Studios in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting right over to my left is KP.
Hello.
KP, you sound healthy again.
Thank you. That's what happens when you take 2 weeks off, guys.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, it was a nice spring break, was it not, Matt? Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, and, we say 2 weeks, but I think for the Jawheads, it was only one, right?
Yes, we did double up our recordings. That is why, Jawheads, if you're concerned about KP, that is why KP sounded sick for 2 weeks in a row. We recorded that in the same night.
That's some behind-the-scenes podcast magic.
It is.
It's our little secret.
Well, not anymore.
And 10 years from now, when you guys have your own Cinemajaw, that's going to be one of the KP facts when I am the monthly theme. She wasn't actually sick for 2 whole weeks.
It's gonna happen.
It is.
The Cinemajaw.
But we're refreshed,
I feel like it, yeah.
I was down in the Caribbean. I had a nice cruise. I went down. The island is St. Martin, and on the island is a little museum called the Yoda Guy. And it's one of the puppeteers that worked on Yoda. And
wait, I thought it was only...
it's all Frank Oz,
yeah,
I thought,
Frank
right?
Oz.
Frank Oz and 2 other guys. He would help like
when
with
his
the
arm
models.
got tired?
Yeah, and all
Okay.
kinds of stuff. And really came up with some of the design, behind the scenes kind of special effects guy.
Or so he says.
He also created the weapon in Crawl, the clave.
Oh.
So I have a picture with that.
Isn't it the glaive?
Glaive, is that what it is?
I believe.
Did you
Could
throw
be.
it?
No, but I got a nice picture with it. Anyways.
Dude, you've been holding out. You got to send me these pictures.
It's about a 5-room museum. I mean, it's just very small. But he has a lot of original scripts from Star Wars behind glass. And you see like DVDs. You sit there and watch, commentary of, how they did this and yada, yada. He's got some pretty cool stuff. He worked on like Aliens, and he's been around forever. And he opened up this little shop on St. Martin. And we went and we got to meet the guy and
What's
talk
his
to him.
name?
We'll have to look it up because
Okay.
I forget the
Throw
guy's
it-
name.
throw it in the
Throw
fish
it in
tank.
the fish tank. But
Yeah.
he's called the Yoda Guy on St. Martin. And pretty interesting,
That sounds like fun.
Especially after you've had a couple of whiskeys,
Sure.
Do they say why it's not Los Angeles and why St. Martin of all places?
I think he wanted to just live there. And then,
Right.
hey,
Why wouldn't you?
put up this little tourist attraction, all these cruises are coming in. It's just a nice little thing. And what was great was it's a very small island. So it's like a 2...
Didn't they just get hit by a
They
hurricane?
did,
Yeah.
not long ago. But it's like you got this like front street and then like one other street. And we basically saw it was about a 15, 20-minute walk from the cruise ship to downtown. Didn't even bother to look up where the museum is because it's just so small. I thought we'd run into it.
And sure enough.
Yeah, we get down there and my brother's like, so which way do you think it is? And I'm like, well...
Did you use the Force, Rye?
I think it's going to be, and I was about to point left, and then all of a sudden we hear the Star Wars music playing. We're like, just follow the music. It's right there. So, pretty cool.
Yeah. You should have just said you used the Force.
The Force is overrated.
No, it's not. So that sounds like fun, man.
It was a good trip. So I'm excited to talk movies again with
Yeah,
Jawheads.
you got some color, too.
Yeah, a little
You're
bit.
not like ghostly pale anymore.
I agree. I'll look good on our Instagram videos when we're...
Let's just say better.
Better.
I wouldn't go as far as good.
I'll take better.
Better is always better.
It is.
All right. What are we doing this week?
Well, we decided to do best worst, which is where we take the best and the worst of 3 different categories. And our categories this week are...
We have Kirsten Dunst movies.
Yes, in honor of our monthly theme, Kirsten Dunst.
We have John Wick-like movies.
In honor of Monkey Man, which
Right.
we are reviewing this week.
And we round it out with Civil War movies.
In honor of Civil War, the new Alex Garland movie. So I think we got a good categories here for for best worst.
Yeah, this is the good picks, Ryan.
Yes, and the reviews, as mentioned, Civil War and Monkey Man. Can't wait to hear your opinions on these movies.
It's a jam-packed jaw.
Yes, and no guest this week, so we're playing Stump the Kubinski. And in honor of Monkey Man, we are playing Monkey movie trivia. So monkey, apes, chimps, anything in that
Simian.
nature. Yeah.
Anything simian. Okay.
Sound good?
I'm ready. Yep.
And as mentioned, it is still Kirsten Dunst month. So we will start right there with a Kirsten Dunst fact. KP.
Yes, I feel like KP with the KD. Okay, so Dunst loves to be in cameo appearances from the people that she's dating, or rather with in films with the people that she's dating. And this must be like a perk to Hollywood, which I guess I could have figured out. But it's always shocking that it's like, this is so open if you're the right person. She was visiting Jake Gyllenhaal on the set of Day After Tomorrow, and she took advantage of this opportunity to get into the background for a cameo appearance, so she is in that film. Then there was an episode of Black Mirror where Jesse Plemons was featured in. And while Dunst was yet again just visiting the set like you do, she asked the director, hey, can I play? And he said, of course. So she hopped in, and you can see her for a solid 2 seconds before heading out of the frame. And we do have that clip. It's going to be in our show notes for anyone who wants to see Kirsten Dunst for 2 seconds in Black Mirror.
I learned a lot from that fact, Ryan. I had no idea that Kirsten Dunst was dating Fat Damon.
Married now.
They're married?
Yes.
How did I miss this?
Yes, they're married now.
So she's, wow, she's a Plemons.
I didn't know that she dated Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean,
I didn't either.
I'm terrible, to be absolutely honest, on the social lives of these stars.
I'm not reading People magazine.
I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm in it for the art. God damn it.
Yeah.
No, but not to sound pretentious, but really I am. I really don't care who they're dating. I know there's people out there that do. Not my thing.
Not mine either.
I don't follow along with that very much at all.
I think we also glossed over how great Fat Damon was. Was that a Matt K original?
No. That's a Ride the Movie Guy original.
I love this. How have I not heard this?
Oh, yeah.
We've definitely said it many times.
Especially when he was up and coming. He was known as Fat Damon. Now I feel it's derogatory because he's really, Jesse Plemons is outstanding.
He's broken out.
Yeah, and we'll talk about him when we get to our Civil War review.
Oh, yes, we will.
Because he was excellent there as well. But since we are on the topic of Kirsten Dunst, and she is our theme, we did pull a new soundbite. We did pull a new soundbite. Try this one out. Okay. I mean, you like this? Which one of you did it? I believe is from, I'm going to go with Interview with a Vampire?
Yeah.
It is. What's the second soundbite we pulled?
Which one of you made me the way I am?
Obviously also Interview with a Vampire.
Man, that's a great little clip.
When was the last time you watched that movie, Matt?
I watched most of it today. I really did.
After pulling those clips.
And spoiler alert, we like to throw clips into the break. And I went ahead and pulled this entire scene.
Oh, did you?
For the Jawhead.
Nice.
Like, relive it. Because, wow, is it three great actors, and in my opinion, at their peak. But we're going to get to that.
Well, let's get to it here
toe-to-toe.
because we're doing our best, worst Kirsten Dunst performances.
Why don't I just go first?
And why don't you go first? Then?
All right. The best Kirsten Dunst performance, and I went through her entire filmography today, and yes, there are a few blind spots for me. I have not seen Melancholia, and I have not seen Marie Antoinette, which I know you've seen both. Mm-hmm. Okay. Those are two big blind spots for me. But those two aside, I've seen most of her films, and I don't care. It's still Interview with a Vampire. Holy crap, what a performance she did to play somebody who's 65 years old at 11 and do it convincingly. When that scene in particular, when she cuts off her hair and comes rushing out to accuse the two of them, which one of them trapped her in this child's body, although her mind has become an adult. She's basically been driven mad by this. Wow. The gravity, she was amazing in that role, dude. So much potential ahead of her. Great to see, and it still holds up.
It does.
It does.
It's amazing, too, going back how young Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt both look as well.
Well, Jesus, man. That movie was like 30 years ago.
Right. It's mid-90s?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Throw it in the fish tank when Interview with the Vampire came out exactly.
I would guess 92.
Oof. All right. You got $5 on this one?
I was thinking about this while we were on break.
I owe you $10.
Do you? All right. Wow, Ryan is busting out a wad of cash, and he just threw a $10 bill on the table.
I actually brought that from home.
Specifically to pay the bet?
Yes, I did. Yes.
You could have totally gotten away with not paying me.
Of course. I know I could, but there you go.
All right. Well, yeah, I got 5 on it.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully you got change.
I'll go 94. 94. You got 92.
Closest to?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's 93, we split.
Fair.
Obviously.
Well, I'm not splitting to 5.
But it is amazing how young they look at the time. Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, obviously, Kirsten Dunst does because she was
'Cause she's
so
11,
young.
yeah.
But yeah, great performance. I like that you went there. Your type of movie.
What do you got?
So you mentioned Melancholia, and I didn't.
I know you
go
love
there.
this one.
No,
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, funny enough, I've only seen Melancholia one time, and I saw it when I was extremely hungover, and I think I probably went on like a Sunday to see it,
We reviewed it.
and I probably went to see it for a review. And I remember not being in the right headspace at all. And, it's a movie about depression and like, oh my God, I got to see this movie again. I've been saying that for years and years and years. Just like the Jawheads listening to this that might get inspired by our celebration of Kirsten Dunst, I am going to make a point this month to revisit Melancholia. That is not my number one, but it did spur me to put it down on my journal and watch it in the coming weeks.
Good for you. Maybe we'll do it as a retro review.
My number one is Marie Antoinette. And,
Wow.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, when you're going over her filmography, she's a lot of times not necessarily the star of the movie. She has a lot of great supporting roles, but I wanted to pick something to highlight her inner, starring role. And Marie Antoinette is it. 2006, Sofia Coppola directed, and I pulled a quote from Roger Ebert, the great Roger Ebert. He gave this film 4 out of 4 stars, and he stated, "Every criticism I have read of this film would alter its fragile magic and reduce its romantic and tragic poignancy to the level of an instructional film. This is Sofia Coppola's third film centering on the loneliness of being female and surrounded by a world that knows how to use you, but not how to value you or understand you." The great Roger Ebert.
I think that review is better than the movie.
You haven't seen the movie.
No, I haven't seen it. But...
So why would you say that?
Well, I know its reputation. You're a bit of a you and Roger are a bit of a edge case there. It's not like widely loved.
It's got its fans, and it's really come around. I think it's aged very nicely. I just rewatched it not long ago, and I like it. I'm a big fan.
Maybe I need to catch up with that one
Yeah,
too.
Marie Antoinette.
Okay.
That's my favorite Kirsten Dunst. Now on to our worst.
All right. My worst Kirsten Dunst movie is probably going to come as no surprise because it's a real stinker. It's a crapper. It's just a bad movie. And boy, did it let me down. I had such high hopes for Spider-Man 3. And I will never, ever forgive Tobey Maguire for doing that dance down the street, the spider dance. I mean, although it did spark many a meme that we get to enjoy today, at the time, I felt betrayed, Ryan. Betrayed! So, and Kirsten Dunst, can't forgive her.
And it ruined the great Sandman, who was a good villain.
Yeah, although they did get that chance for redemption in the Spider-Verse movie, the last one that Tom Holland did.
Right.
It was pretty decent.
But with Sandman, how he wasn't in it that well.
He was.
Guess. Not enough though.
Not enough. That could be. And I don't think Thomas Hayden Church was actually in
Right.
it. I think it was just
going to
like
say it was like a CGI version of him or something,
Right.
if I remember correctly. I've only seen that movie one time.
I saw it twice.
Yeah. My pick also wanted to go with one where she was very much prominently in the movie. I went with Elizabethtown, which was a Cameron Crowe movie that came
this
out
one
in
I saw.
2005. Orlando Bloom. This was before everybody couldn't figure out that Orlando Bloom really can't act. He was coming off of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He was Legolas, and this was like, oh man, this guy's going to go on to something. Then it's like, oh, put him in just a regular movie where he's in a drama. No, not so much. Let's get him back in the makeup and the costumes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at that time, we didn't know. And so he plays this shoe designer who breaks up with his girlfriend and then then finds out that his dad died. And on his way to the funeral, falls, or at least meets at the time, the stewardess on the airplane, who's played by Kirsten Dunst. And they spark up a relationship and go to Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And it's a typical Cameron Crowe feel-good movie from there, kind of drama.
Right. He sort of picked up the torch from John Hughes.
To a degree. And
he would like to think that he picked up the torch.
But he fizzled. I mean, his end of his career, and this sort of started it. I mean, Elizabethtown was like a letdown. Like this was like, man, I'm excited to go see this. It's a new Cameron Crowe movie. It's got Legolas in it. It's got this Kirsten Dunst in it. And then it's like, what the hell are we watching here? This is a crapper.
bummer.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
So Elizabethtown, my pick for Kirsten Dunst's worst. Jawheads, if we missed your favorite or your worst Kirsten Dunst movie, shoot us a tweet. We're at Cinemajaw, or an email, feedback@cinemajaw.com. Well, we're celebrating her because there is a new movie out this week, and we have a review for you. Writer-director Alex Garland has given us such great sci-fi films as Ex Machina and Annihilation. His last film, Men, came out in 2022, and while that film divided some people, I don't think it'll divide as many as this latest one. Civil War, starring Kirsten Dunst, looks at modern-day America at war with itself. Matt Kay and I grabbed our guns and a camera to check it out.
We're going to D.C.
Are you serious? The United States are vaporized. They shoot us on sight in the Capitol.
I've never been scared like that before, and I've never felt more alive.
Holy fucking shit!
No exact date is given, but Civil War is set in modern day or very near future America. We enter with the war already raging on. Kirsten Dunst plays a war journalist who, with her partner, played by Wagner Moura, are planning a drive through battlefields to get to Washington, D.C. to interview the president, who's played by Nick Offerman. On their journey, they grab a young girl who wants to become a war journalist as well. She is played by Kaylee Spaney. We just saw her in Priscilla. Their journey is filled with dangerous situations and horrific images of Americans killing Americans. I want to start by saying that Civil War tries its hardest to stay neutral in regards to a political point of view. Alex Garland's focus is on the journalists covering the war, the risks they take to get the news out of what is happening. My guess is this is going to disappoint people from both sides that go into the movie thinking it is something it is not. It also got me thinking about the divide between people who want to get involved, such as the journalists, to show the horrors of war, compared to the people who are going on living their lives like nothing has changed. We get a scene in which Kirsten Dunst and a team drive into a town and the people are still going about their day-to-day lives. We also hear reports and hear stories of people living in the Midwest that are basically acting like this isn't happening. This is an interesting theme to explore. In each of our lives, we have people into watching the news, getting riled up, and others who would rather just hit the off button and go on with their lives. Maybe Matt Kay has some thoughts on that. I do want to talk about the craft of the film for a minute here. The war scenes are intense and actually left me in shock at some points. The sound design is very, very, very well done and makes you feel every bullet being fired. Yet, I left the theater kind of disappointed, and I don't know why that is. Maybe through our discussion, we'll find out. Matt, your initial take on Civil War.
Like you, I walked out feeling a little disappointed, and I do think I understand why. I thought about this for a long time. First of all, you nail. Hang on, edit. Is my mic weird? Am I sounding weird, or is it just in my head?
I don't think so.
Sound
Do
okay?
you want to?
No, it just sounds a little like off. I don't know. Is one of the settings wrong or something?
Did you touch them last week? I haven't done shit.
I might have when you weren't here.
Well, why'd you do that?
It sounded good last week.
You sound fine to
All
me.
right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Maybe it's just in
Sound
my
fine
head.
to me, too.
All right, what train was I on there?
You were
You left
disappointed, but
left
for
the
different
theater.
reasons.
And I think I know why. The movie is, you said it pretty well. I was talking to my friends about this afterwards, and true neutral came to mind, which is an alignment in D&D, anybody who's familiar with that alignment chart. And it's kind of rare to find something that is true neutral. We never get a sense of who the good guys are, and I'm saying this in air quotes, and who the bad guys are. And I think what I went in hoping for was a little bit of political catharsis. And I think whichever side of the aisle you lean towards or you're on, all of us wanted to see this movie to feel either some vindication or some outrage, or at least like somebody to hold our hand through this weird political moment we're in an election year and everything else. And there is absolutely none of that here.
Right.
So that's what disappointed me. I wanted commentary. You don't make a movie called Civil War in one of the most politically divided times in our recent history and not touch on any of the reasons why we got here. But we never find out what the war is all about. They don't go there at all, nor do you get any sort of political leanings from the characters at all.
Right.
And that's disappointing. Now, the action, like you mentioned, super intense. The imagery, gory, disgusting, and horrific. Like,
Right.
I'm still thinking about some of the stuff
like
I
literally
saw.
left you in shock. I mean, there were some. My jaw was agape. I was just like stunned. I was like, oh my god, the image of the person being set on fire.
Yeah, the
Like,
immolation.
Oh my god.
Yeah, horrible.
Horrible.
And when they get to a truck stop later in the movie, and there's some people just like hung up there like prisoners, it's messed up what they're driving through. Like, and it's a road trip movie at its core. Also plays out like a horror movie, and I think the closest feeling that I got from this was almost to the same level of as Beau is Afraid, because I was so anxious, because it's not horror in the typical sense where it's like, you know, ghosts and ghouls and boo, and there's some like cool and interesting kills that Michael Myers is going to do, which are largely laughable, even though they're gross and gory. We know it's pretend. This is like, oh shit, you know, this is kind of real.
But maybe that's the point that Garland was trying to make. Like, let's pretend that we eventually did go into a civil war.
I agree.
At the end of the day, once the Civil War, and I think we hear stories of, when you hear stories of the actual Civil War, not talking about the movie now, it got to the point where people almost didn't even know what they were fighting about anymore. And you can't imagine that. You think like, oh my God, you're killing your fellow countrymen, and you don't even know what the war technically is about anymore. I'm talking about like man for a man, why they're actually trying to kill that person, you know, across the battlefield is almost forgotten after a while.
Right. And I think Garland was definitely going for that.
And that's what I think he was going for. It's just, I'm with you on the sense of like, because we're in this like tense political time, that's just not what I wanted going into the movie, I guess, as well. And that's why I think I was just like, what was this, you know?
Yeah, and I'll say this: I enjoy having friends who don't agree with me on many things, political things, and you know we often disagree on movies because of those differences. And when I told them about this movie, they were like, "Oh, if you liked it, it's probably more toward your side." And I'm like, "It really isn't. It just isn't." And I think maybe some people will think that's a plus. I don't know if it was a cop out or a wimp out, or if that's what he was going for. I guess it is what he was going for. This is just about war. The closest movie I could compare it to would be Platoon. It's a war movie.
It really is. An anti-war movie at that, trying to show us the horrors of war and maybe to steer us both sides away from what feels sometimes like what we're headed towards. So maybe that's another goal of Garland here. One that I mentioned that I did want to get your take on was this idea that when they go through that town and they're just going about their lives, and that we hear the stories of like, well, what are your parents doing? They're at home. They're acting like none of this is happening. My take on that was very much how the political landscape is now, how there's some people that are so
isolated, insulated.
Insulated. There's some people that are so want to know the news all the time and they get so riled up on everything. And then there's people, and I'm in this category, that I'm just like, I'm turning it off and I could care less anymore because I don't want to hear it and I don't want to think about it, and that's it. I'm just not listening to, you know, some program, blah, blah, blah stuff.
Yeah. It's a real thing, man.
I know. And I think that was what he was maybe going for there.
I guess. It's a little ham-fisted. I think we're reaching for straws to find credit, and maybe that's where the credit is due. Nevertheless, I found it disappointing because of that. I wanted some kind of signpost to like let me know where I'm supposed to stand in this battle. When you see a battle on screen, like here's a good example. Lord of the Rings. It's really easy to enjoy that movie, and yes, it's fantasy, and I get that he's not making a fantasy film, but like, you know that the orcs are evil and they're coming to like destroy the world of men and elves, right? Here you see people destroying each other and you don't know which side is evil and which side is good. And obviously in the real world, it's not quite that cut and dried. There isn't such a thing as evil and good.
Right.
Everybody's got their own perspective on what's right and wrong, and that sometimes is at such a odds that we have war,
Right.
which is never good. So I that's all true, but at the same time, it didn't make for great entertainment, did it?
It didn't. It didn't. And I'm still thinking about this fact also. As we go towards this election year, I can't help but feel that the media is playing a massive part in this great cultural divide that we're having right now in the country.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
they hold some of the blame.
And now we're watching a movie that's like kind of like celebrating or showing us, the perils of what the journalists are doing. So here it's a movie called Civil War, in which I feel if we're going to get to this point, it's partly because of the media stoking the flames on both sides. And I'm not saying one side's better than the other. They're both terrible at doing this. And then we're making a movie about the journalist.
Well,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, come on.
That's okay. We're tiptoeing into murky waters here because yes, that is true what you said, and sensationalism is bad, and bad journalism is has real consequences. Obviously, this day and age we're living through, we can say that with confidence. But at the same time, a free press is very important, and especially like war journalists who can shed light on the atrocities that are occurring out there. So I get it. This is definitely a love letter to journalism. I wasn't expecting that, and again, it didn't grab me.
Yes. Okay. So it sounds like we're actually feeling about the same on this movie.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about Kirsten Dunst's performance since it is her month here on Cinemajaw. I thought she had a very difficult role to play here, and here's why.
Go.
She plays a character that has to be basically emotionless because she can't give in to having feelings while she's taking a picture of somebody dying on the battlefield. She needs to be stone cold. Hey, you go in and this is my job. Doesn't matter what side I'm on. I'm here to just actually document and get word out of what's happening. And because of that kind of character is tough then for us to kind of like root for. There's no core emotion to the character. We do get a couple when she's by herself and in the bathtub with some flashbacks where she can show some emotion, but those are bit parts. Yet I thought she nailed this. I thought she was excellent in here. She was a great mentor to the younger girl played by Kaylee Spaney. I thought she was a leader of the little press group that they had really well. So I think this is a very strong Kirsten Dunst performance.
I agree. Very, very strong. I got Ellen Ripley from Aliens vibes from her. She's stoic, ice cold, almost sociopathically detached from humanity, but you can tell that veneer is thin at some moments. Like she does have a breakdown at one point in the film where some emotion comes through. It's uncontrollable. And even then, she manages to reel it back. She's like a superhero in a way. I think she nailed this role, really nailed it. I hope this unlocks some future roles for her where she can play some more tough guys because she was really good at it.
She really was. Also, your thoughts on Alex Garland having California and Texas forces aligned in the movie?
Right. I think that's another part of the red herring. Where he just really wanted to keep it so ambiguous because Texas and California are not going to agree on anything. I think everybody here can say that that's probably true.
Right.
So, that's part of making it even more confusing. Obviously, the America in this movie is pure fiction. Mm-hmm. So, or maybe not.
Let's break it down a little bit more with a jaw-dropping moment. What do you got, Matt?
Jesse Plemons.
That's mine also. Yeah. This is definitely, I think, the highlight of the movie.
Yeah. Okay, so there is a very tense scene where some journalists get captured by this gang of men in uniforms. We don't ever learn if they're on one side or another or if they're whatever militia they're working for. And they have to decide if they're going to try to rescue them or walk away because it seems like certain doom. And Jesse Plemons' character is just chilling. Like here you see a side of war that is like really scary and horrific, because there's some people that just enjoy killing.
Right.
And boy, is it harrowing.
Yeah, and he like loves the intimidating factor when
Yeah.
he's interrogating them to a degree, asking them where they're from. Are they Americans? What kind of American are you? I think that's the quote I wrote down. Yeah, chilling, scary, tense.
And when the camera zooms out and you see the totality of where they are and what's happening there, you're like, oh, this is not good.
Really isn't. And he's only in this one scene, and he just really steals the movie for me. I thought no doubt in my mind you were going to have this as your jaw-dropping moment as well. Loved Jesse Plemons, and wow, good stuff. We wanted to add a new category to our reviews called That Would Never Happen.
That'll never happen.
The most unpractical moment in films. You know these jawheads. These are moments where it's like, that's just ridiculous. That never happen.
That would never happen.
It would never happen, Matt.
That would never happen.
There's a couple in here. The one I went with, so right before the Jesse Plemons scene, actually, I said this would never happen, is they're in a car and another vehicle pulls up alongside them, and it turns out that they know these people, and they're on this thin country road. I mean, it's a narrow country road, and the guy decides for some reason to jump from one car window into another car window, and they're doing about 50 miles an hour. There's no room to wiggle. These aren't stunt drivers. They're just regular people trying to drive a car. And then the young girl decides to jump into the other car. It had to happen because we know what is about to proceed, so they needed it as a plot point. But it's just so dumb. It would never happen. The girl would just not jump into the car of a random guy on a highway. It's the dumbest thing.
I've seen it happen.
Of course you have.
I've been in a car where it happened. I did not do it, but I was in the car when two people changed places. And I don't know how fast we were going, but it was over 30 miles an hour. It was on a country road, too, just like that. Seriously.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Of course, Matt. Of course.
I'm just saying.
I thought it was terrible. What do you got?
That did not take me out of the movie whatsoever. There are so many that'll never happen moments. All right, I don't want to spoil anything. Okay, so I'm gonna tiptoe around this as best I can. But obviously, the movie is leading up to Nick Offerman, right? We know he's in the movie. So he's the president, and there's a war, and it reaches his doorstep, and he is found, and he's exactly where you would expect the president to be found. That'll never happen, okay? If there is a war going on outside the White House, the president is not going to be chilling in the Oval Office, you know? He's going to be in a bunker 500 feet below, concrete, steel doors, and yeah.
It would never happen.
It would never happen. The moment the door opens up also...
Secret Service.
Yeah. Secret Service, guns, boom, bang. That would never happen. It's a bad little piece of detail there.
How about your movie poster quote?
My movie poster quote is, "It's not what you think." It's not. I think people are going in expecting this political movie. It's not. It's not what you think.
My movie poster quote, and picture this right on the poster. See what happens when Nick Offerman is president. Civil War.
Poor Nick Offerman. I bet you he would make a great president. How many Jaws you giving this thing?
So this is tricky because I know I'm a little poo-pooing it, but I think that's because I go in with such high expectations being Alex Garland. I mean, he's in top tier for me.
He's a good one.
This is probably my least favorite Alex Garland film. I'm at 2.5 Jaws for Civil War.
Yeah, that's where I landed as well. 2.5 Jaws. It's slightly better than middle of the road. It definitely will make you think. There's some amazing imagery. This is a well-crafted film, especially in the sound design. And if you enjoy war movies, I think this is a good one. 2.5 Jaws.
2.5 Jaws from Rye the Movie Guy and Matt Kay on Civil War. That brings us to our best, worst Civil War movies.
Why don't you start this time?
I will start because I went with kind of a layup. I will say I don't want to say I dislike, but I'm not a huge fan of Civil War movies in general. And last year, I went down to Nashville for a little vacation, and we ended up going to Franklin, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville, about 20, 25 minutes. And there was a major battle during the Civil War. It's called the Battle of Franklin. And we did a tour of the house that you could go into, and you see some of the soldiers' blood still on the wood flooring.
Crazy.
Yeah, and this girl gave us this wonderful tour, and it ended with one of these like, and this guy ended up living, and then she pauses, and he was my grandpa. Was one of those. I was like, oh my God, you were just emotionally into this story. And I remember telling my brother at the time, I was like, man, I want to go home and watch a good Civil War movie, and he was like, you got to watch Gettysburg. Well, we'll get to that one later, but my point being is, like, I don't like any Civil War movies, even when I want to get fired up for them. So I had to go with, I think, the best, and it's, I think, a layup. I think all the Jawheads would have this at number one, and it is Glory.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick, I watched this in school. This was school material. They were like, you got to watch this and write a report on Glory. Matthew Broderick and Denzel Washington. It won Denzel his first Academy Award for supporting actor, and in it, Matthew Broderick plays an officer who leads the first all-African American regiment, the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry, and it's a very emotional movie. It's, I think, depicts the war in all its kind of disgusting ways that it is. I mean, it's just a terrible war, the Civil War. My God, it was bloody and
Any
awful.
war.
All wars are, I agree. But man, it just seems like the Civil War was just the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gross. All right. I have as my best Civil War movie, Captain America Civil War.
Weak.
No, it's not weak.
It is weak.
It's not as weak as picking Glory. I mean, talk about a layup of all layups, man.
Well, I mean, these
They're
are two
both
layups.
layups.
They're both layups. Let's not kid ourselves.
I saved all my Captain America Civil War jokes during my review just so I could talk about it here in our best worst section.
At least my Civil War, and during the big battle scenes, you don't have people talking, making jokes about underoos and making light of the whole entire situation they're in.
That was a cinematic moment that will live on. Underoos when Spiderman shows up for the first time.
I hated it.
Holy crap! Your heart is dead inside.
Wow.
Yes,
this
it
was,
is, Ryan.
This was when I was against the Marvel movies the most, was when this came out, and everybody was pushing about how serious they were, and yet they're supposed to be at war with each other, and everybody's just on the tarmac laughing it up, making jokes. Like, what are they talking about?
When they start running at each other.
Why are they talking while they're fighting? I thought the whole thing's ridiculous.
It's great. They had to pick sides, superheroes battling each other. That's a good movie right there. Captain America, Civil War, fun superhero action at its best.
So for my worst Civil War movie is Gettysburg, the one that my brother ended up telling me to watch after our trip. He ended up having the DVD. I got it from him. I went home. This thing was supposed to be a miniseries, and it was...
I remember this movie.
Yeah. Look, it's actually fresh, and people like the movie, so I don't want to get any hate mail here, but for me, this isn't the kind of movie I want to watch. It's very detailed on, like, all the journals and everything that the different soldiers had. It's supposed to be as, like, historically accurate about the Gettysburg battle that there is. And that's what it's really showcasing. It's just not my kind of movie. I want some...
You want a movie.
Yeah, I want a movie.
Not a docuseries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want some emotion in there. And so I sat there watching this thing like, the hell did my brother give me? Yeah, this is like watching a Ken Burns. And I think Ken Burns is in the movie I read. So it's like, come on. I didn't want this. I wanted some drama in my movie. For me, not a fan of Gettysburg. So I put that as my worst.
All right. My worst would be Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
The book was good.
The book was good.
Yeah, I read the book, and I remember loving the book.
The book was amazing, and I was so ready for the movie.
So was I.
and it was in 3D, and I'm like, this is going to be awesome.
I know.
Such a letdown.
Oh, is it terrible?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. What a shame. It's amazing how they could take such an interesting idea.
And botch it.
Yeah. I remember loving the book.
I'm getting the sense that Matt's a like the opposite of you, where he wants historical...
You're just getting that sense?
historical accuracy. Oh, wait, never mind. Civil War. And my head was like, these are two works of fiction. You have nothing to say about the actual Civil War.
Wait. Are you trying to tell me that Abraham Lincoln wasn't a vampire hunter? Is that what you're saying?
Let's get Dan Aykroyd back in here and check in on that.
I will say 2 other good ones: The Beguiled, another Sofia Coppola, and the actual Abraham Lincoln, the one with Daniel Day-Lewis, also were near the top of my list. I was going to go there instead of Glory, but wanted to highlight Glory. You know?
All right.
Yeah. So
Fair enough.
all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a review of Monkey Man. Plus, we're playing Stump the Kubinski Monkey Movie Trivia. Stick with us.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Hey, Jawheads, I know at the end of every podcast we ask you to follow us on social media. However, I want to point out that we are doing some fun videos on Instagram, the Reels. So go on to Instagram, make sure you follow Cinemajaw, and you can see part of the show being taped. We're putting clips out each and every week, so follow us at Cinemajaw on Instagram and really everywhere on social media.
Sparkling drinks and all colored dandy, 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 dandy.
And we're back on Cinemajaw, hanging out, talking about Monkey Man, talking about Kirsten Dunst, talking about Civil War, and we threw a few items into the fish tank, Ryan. At least one, I believe. Let's open up that fish tank and see what KP is up to.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up!
No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Thank you so much. It is delightful to be back out. They changed the filter out. That's what the secret is.
Good.
That's what my
to your
secret
health?
is. Yep.
Yeah, good.
And like a little bit of Robitussin in there too. I do, as always, it's not like opening the fish tank without me having some gripes about you guys. And my big one this week is science, okay? Just to be clear, monkeys have tails. And apes do not. So this whole apes are included in the monkeys, that's scientifically not true.
Should we call it primate movie trivia? Which could also
I was
technically
gonna say,
include humans.
According to Ryan's rules, we could be in there because we're really just, I mean, and honestly, you two are hairier than me. You might be monkeys.
Yeah, well, that's true. Especially you.
That was my monkey sound.
That wasn't a board sound effect. That's actually just what Ryan sounds like. If anything, the sound effect is we translate that into his voice. Speaking of funny voices, our first one is Yoda. Who is the Yoda guy? Like, what's his name? His name is Nick Malley.
Yes.
He was a makeup artist, noteworthy for Star Wars, like Ryan said, a couple of other films. And I did also find out he was nominated for an Emmy in the 1982's Hunchback of Notre Dame, which I did not, realize that it must have been a made-for-TV movie, right?
You thought it was a real hunchback.
Yeah, I thought it was. I was like, man, the representation is great. I didn't know they still had these. And then our next one, this is a big one. This one's money on the table. When did Interview with the Vampire come out?
I just took my money off the table.
I know.
Matt said 92.
Uh-huh.
Ryan
94?
said 94. I have one question for you two, and it's: do either of you have a $5 bill?
I have a 10, which I just won from Ryan. I want to add. This is all the money, all the cash I have on me.
I don't have any other money than the $10 bill that I brought in from Matt K.
This is bad news.
For me, probably.
Because Ryan should have brought $5. Because Matt,
Yes!
you owe no.
Oh, I owe
because
him?
you owe him, and you need to break that. It is 94 exactly.
Yes!
The only one who needed $5 right now was Ryan.
You don't have 2 5s, do you, KP?
No.
All right.
No.
Well, we'll figure it out,
If I
Ryan.
did, I would not have asked this. I would have squared up.
I'm so glad I nailed that one. 94.
There you go.
Yeah.
$5 less poorer.
Nice.
I could just rip it in half if you
No,
want.
don't do that.
Oh, okay. We'll
Just
go to the
charge-
7-Eleven.
We'll charge interest. That's what it is.
Yeah, or I'll pin it to the board, and next week we'll break it.
Yeah.
Something.
That was all the facts that we threw in.
That's all we got.
Next week on the show, big show coming up here, Matt K.
Okay.
Big show. We got a guest joining us, scheduled, Eric Childress.
Yeah.
Coming on to promote the Chicago Critics Film Festival. We love this film festival. It's taking place over at the Music Box. It starts on May 3rd. You can get a full pass. Go to the website, Chicago Critics Film Festival. They haven't announced the lineup yet.
Oh, so maybe Childress will drop the scoop on us.
Yes, it's going to be right around that time. So Childress is going to come on, give us a good preview of what the fest will have.
One more time with the dates.
I know it starts May 3rd.
Okay.
And it goes through maybe May 11th.
Well, we'll get the details.
Yeah,
from
we'll
Eric.
get all the details from Eric. May 9th, I'm reading now.
And this will be the first time we've seen Eric Childress in person in probably like 4 years.
Oh, no, I see him all the time.
No. I mean, not at a film festival.
Yeah,
on the
mean
show.
on the show, yes. Because the last few times have all been Zoom. Correct.
Yeah, geez. It's been years.
Yeah.
Cards Against Humanity days, I believe.
I know. He said he's coming to the studio, though.
That's great.
That is. Our review, at least this one for sure, Abigail, which looks right up your alley, man.
Yeah, this one looks really good. I'm excited for it.
Might add something else to that, but for now we know Abigail and Eric Childress is what we're planning on so far.
I mean, since we're celebrating Kirsten Dunst, I think maybe we'll do some kind of vampire thing. It might make sense, Ryan.
Well, I mean, we're already doing Abigail.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of ties in, doesn't it?
I got you.
Okay.
Something with teeth.
Something with teeth.
All right. That's everything. Jump back in there.
You bet.
Monkey Man, Ryan. Dev Patel has finally released his directorial debut after a slew of setbacks. Monkey Man is a gritty action thriller that takes us through the poverty-stricken streets of India. Co-written by Patel himself alongside Paul Anganwala and John Coley. The film boasts a stellar ensemble cast led by Patel himself alongside Sharlto Copley, Pitabash Tripathi, and more. And it's an array of talented performers, Ryan. Some have called it the Indian John Wick, and perhaps that is fair. Ryan and I took our revenge on Netflix as we strapped in for this brutal 2-part revenge flick.
Do you remember me? Do you even know my mother's name? Do you know any of their names?
I said 2 parts. We'll get to that. First, let's get through the legend behind the movie. The film began in 2018 when Patel shopped it to his frequent collaborator Neil Blomkamp, who suggested that Patel direct it himself. He began the filming in 2020, but the pandemic soon put a kibosh on that. After breaking his hand on set but finally finishing photography, Netflix bought it, only to mishandle it, and Monkey Man seemed doomed to the also ran status. That's when Jordan Peele swooped in and rescued the film, helping secure a theatrical release and a South by Southwest debut. And here we are, Rye. Okay, so now we're up to speed. What's the actual movie about? Monkey Man introduces us to Kid. That's Patel's character, credited only as Kid. He's played by Patel with raw intensity. He witnesses the brutal murder of his mother at the hands of a ruthless police chief. Years later, Kid finds himself entangled in the seedy underbelly of the city, fighting in an underground fight club in a monkey mask and seeking revenge on those who wronged him while navigating a world of corruption and betrayal. How's that for a sentence? The backstory is slowly revealed to us through flashbacks, although we're told in the very beginning about the legend of Hanuman, an Icarus-like monkey demigod who may or may not be a previous incarnation of Kid. What follows are 2 extended action set pieces reminiscent of The Raid or, yes, John Wick, but more visceral, more brutal, slapping, if you will. Less obviously choreographed, for sure. Make no mistake, Monkey Man is bone-breaking tongue twister. Make no mistake, Monkey Man is bone-breakingly, blood-spatteringly violent in the most amazing and, dare I say, beautiful way. Every swing, punch, shot, and thump is done with meaning and attention to the visceral and plot impact. Where Monkey Man dips a bit for me and keeps it from achieving the heights of, say, an Old Boy is the saggy middle. Patel weaves in a cultural and political subtext that was a bit confusing to me. I get what he was going for, and it's largely forgivable. This might be a nitpick, but it did bug me a bit. It sags in the middle, and the subtext is just a little convoluted. Nothing a sequel couldn't tidy up, and I would be down for that. The performances here are uniformly strong, with Patel delivering a great performance as Kid, supported by a talented cast who brings equal depth and nuance to their roles. Special attention must be made of Sobhita Dolipala, and boy, if I'm butchering those names, please forgive me, doing my best, whose portrayal of Sita adds layers of complexity to the narrative. I liked her. And Sharlto Copley, who brings a comedic relief to the boxing promoter character, kind of like Bruce Campbell's character in Spiderman, but seedier. I loved him. Always loved Sharlto.
He's great.
Yeah, always. Last, we have to talk about the sound. The soundtrack is amazing. There's this metal needle drop during a barroom fight that had me fist pumping in my seat, Ryan. Don't duck this one. Get punched in the face by Monkey Man. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an impressive directorial debut by Dev Patel because there's a lot of action in this movie. So I was down with this. Really dug the world that he built in here.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about...
It's like a dystopian...
Yeah, and we're talking about John Wick movies here to a degree. This is what John Wick did so well, was drop us into this world of secret assassins and whatnot. I like what Patel did here, but you're right. There's it drags in the middle, but also just the overall concept of the plot is just so basic. The idea of like, okay, this happened to my mom, and now I'm getting revenge.
It's a revenge movie.
I know, but it's almost just too basic. Like, all right, we could have used something a little bit more to spice it up. You know what I mean?
Interest, perhaps?
Something. I don't know, you know, but a little bit more there because I felt like overall it was kind of basic in nature and that the middle drags. I love the underground fight concept. Like that kind of stuff I totally dug. I love the idea that these fighters all took on different personas of animals. So he was the monkey man. He wore this monkey mask. I think he was fighting at one point like a snake guy.
Yeah, King Cobra.
It's awesome.
It was awesome.
I loved it. I wanted to see how many other guys are fighting and what other animals
I could have spent the whole movie there.
Same with me. I thought like maybe there's like a behind the scenes where it's just like 45 minutes of hanging out at that club betting on fights. I want to see the panther against the scorpion, you know?
Yeah.
And why these guys, I mean, they just had enough where they you know, either wore a mask or they had like a tattoo or something that made them that person. It wasn't like WWE where they're, you know, the actual Undertaker plays like an actual Undertaker, but enough of a flair that made it exciting. And Copley, as you've mentioned, is great as the announcer and the guy that's sort of the ringleader of the fights. So that, excellent. I wanted that for the whole movie, like that type of care and you know, close attention of detail to that underground world everywhere else populated in the movie. And I don't think it really carries over anywhere else. Maybe the club that they're in that he eventually goes and works for. It seems like I don't know if I fully understood it. Like I had a great grasp on it.
Right. Yes.
You agree?
I do.
It's not quite like the hotel in John Wick where we understood what was going on. But it was like, oh, okay, so now he's trying to get like up to like a higher level of, you know, working, so eventually he could get up to this higher level.
Now stick with that. That would have been interesting as he gets higher and higher.
Right.
But they don't exactly stick with that.
Yeah, don't just jump right up to the top where the guy you want to get revenge on is at. Maybe get to like a third floor and have like an adventure of something that's going wrong on the third floor in the steam room. I don't know, something that's going on in that club. Like have it take a little while to get up to the top floor of the club. Stuff like that I would have liked a little bit more. So
it's in 2 acts.
Yeah. And then another part that I actually really liked is when he is actually hurt and he has to take this herbal drug or whatever it is, and he sort of more or less then becomes the monkey man, if you will.
Right. He has a psychedelic experience, which helps him deal with his trauma.
And I thought that was pretty well done.
That was
like,
okay.
Okay, that was pretty cool too. So it's like, man, damn it, this movie has some really cool elements, and the fight scenes are pretty cool, and yet it's lacking in other areas. And so the end result is something that I enjoyed, and I'm going to be recommending here, but I think could have been that much more special if they just would have, you know, knocked it up a couple of notches in certain areas.
I disagree with you about the plot missing something. I don't think it is at all. I think that sometimes revenge is enough. We don't need a love interest. We don't need any outside complications. Here's a guy who's hell-bent on revenge. I said it was in 2 acts, and I was going to get to that. There's basically a little lead up and then a big action set piece where he's fighting his way through the club. And then he has to go on the run, and then he comes back and basically does it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. When the action starts, it goes for like 25 minutes, and it's brutal and amazing, and I loved it. And then the second part of the action, even better.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is a fun action movie. I didn't feel like it was missing anything plot-wise. I think maybe you're being a little harsh on this.
I'll tell you this. I love Dev Patel way more than, he's really just been rising up ever since the Green Knight, which I love him in. And when he pops up, I'm always like, yeah, it's Dev Patel. This guy's really good, and he's excellent here. So maybe I'm being a little hard on it, but I'm telling you now, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Is it an Old Boy? No. Is it a John Wick? Maybe. It's like it's in that sort of area of the first John Wick, I think.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I just don't know if it's as polished or it's going to set up a sequel for sure.
It's definitely not as polished. This is like you feel the passion on the screen. It's a first-time director at the helm. There's a lot of sloppiness here, but yet it works. It's almost like I always evoke punk, because that's a touchstone for me. But like a good sloppy punk song, just the energy and the feeling is more important than the virtuosity of it. And boy, does this film have energy and feeling and emotion in spades, especially seething anger. So raw.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and there's I'm not going to give away the spoiler, but his hands are scarred up. And I like that it took a long time to figure out exactly why
Me too.
This happened, and it adds to the character at that point. So that was really good. And I like that he used that powder or whatever that stuff was that was on his hands.
It's like lye or bleach or some sort of chemical.
And he would use that during his fights.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
The fights were great. As for a jaw-dropping moment, I think you got to pick one of the 3 main fight scenes.
You said there's 3. There's really only 2, but go on.
Well, there's one early on. I guess there's 2 in the back end that are more or less combined as one. But I'm going to go with on the back end the bar fight, which
that's exactly what I have. The Crazy 88s moment.
Yes, it is a Crazy 88s moment, and I felt like God, that's such a ripoff of that. They literally run into the room almost identical to how the Crazy 88s run in. All hell breaks loose, but the shot in particular, I'm just not going to say the fight. The shot that I loved the most was Dev Patel on the bar, and he's fighting on the bar.
That's when the metal needle drops too.
And the background behind him is eloquently lit bar with all your fine bottles of booze, and it's like a whole wall of that. It was a great shot. Whoever the cinematographer is, was awesome. It was just so well done right there. I was like, yeah, man, this is
yeah, that's when it was hitting its hardest.
It really was.
Yeah. That's also my jaw-dropping moment. I called it the Crazy 88 moment. And maybe a little derivative, sure, but it's fine. Totally easy to forgive.
You could go the kitchen fight, which I thought was maybe even
pretty good.
More well choreographed, because I think the Crazy 88 scene had a lot of great edits and stuff, but I think he probably tried the choreograph, like longer takes. Man, there was a shot in there. It looked like, man, where was the edit? I thought he went, 2 minutes of boom, 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 open the microwave door, grab the pan, so on and so forth. And you could tell this was all done in one take. Like, you screw it up, do it again, roll tape again.
Yeah, dude, that was a good one.
How about that would never happen moment?
There's a lot.
I know.
There's a lot.
I went with a goofy one, and there's a car chase in this one with like a motorized tuk-tuk sped up that guy drives. It's almost like a hybrid tuk-tuk.
Turbo tuk-tuk.
And they're car chase in India, and I just said, that would never happen with all the traffic in India. There's no room for a car chase.
Well, with a tuk-tuk, maybe.
Nah, it's like you go 5 feet, and you're happy you went 5 feet in India.
Have you been there?
No, but I've seen enough.
Okay.
Do you
pictures.
guys remember when my sister got married and I had to take a month off in India? Ryan's completely right.
You've been there.
Yeah, you don't remember? This was
I
a very
remember.
early job when I had to go to Mumbai. I say I had to. I got to go to Mumbai. Ryan's completely right.
Yeah,
Right.
traffic everywhere.
Yeah, you're not going to have some out open road, chase through traffic. I mean, the traffic would just stop everybody.
The Mumbai open road doesn't exist.
Okay. This would never happen. Dude gets into an elevator, right? He's in the middle of a firefight, the Crazy 88s moment.
That would never happen.
Well, it's not that. He's got to get up to the next level where people are expecting him. The elevator door opens, there should be a hail of bullets. I mean, he's not coming from any other door. He's coming out of the elevator. Point your guns at the elevator, and the moment it opens, fire your guns. Doesn't happen. And sometimes filmmakers think of that. So they hide up in the top of the elevator, and then once the bullets are gone, they jump down. That would never happen. It didn't happen in this movie. He should have hidden. Come on.
I like it. That would never happen.
That would never happen. Although
this is a good new category. I think.
I agree. I will point out something that I thought that is exactly what would happen. Dev Patel, and I won't spoil exactly when this happens in the movie. It is a little tiny bit of an action spoiler. So if that's something that concerns you, fast forward 10 seconds. Running down a hallway, he's going to burst through a pane of glass to escape. He hits the glass as hard as he can with his shoulder, and he doesn't go through. Loved it.
It was good.
That was great.
Was fun.
That would happen.
That would happen. That's in the trailer, too, so I don't think that's much of a spoiler.
Cool. I didn't see the trailer.
As for a movie poster quote, I went with, Monkey Man had me pounding my chest for more.
Oh, wow. Man, you brought your A game with the quotes. I have best monkey movie since Planet of the Apes.
You brought your C game.
Yeah, as usual. Well, how many jaws you giving this?
3 jaws for Monkey Man.
I knocked it up a whole half jaw. I'm going 3.5 jaws. I loved Monkey Man. I think Dev Patel should be proud of it.
Wow, there it is, Jawheads. 3.5 from Matt K. 3 jaws from Rye the Movie Guy. If you've seen Monkey Man, want to chime in on this review, shoot us a tweet. We're at Cinemajaw, or our email feedback@cinemajaw.com.
I liked it more than Civil War. It had catharsis, Anyway.
Got us thinking, though, since we're doing our best worst, and this is very John Wick-esque. Movies that come around every once in a while. You get like a John Wick, and then a lot of movies start to imitate John Wick. You get like a Pulp Fiction back in the 90s. There's a lot of Pulp Fiction wannabes. So this is definitely a John Wick wannabe. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, they even evoke
They really do.
John Wick by name in the film.
They do. They actually do. So what's your best John Wick wannabe?
I was going to say you should go first because I have 2 at number 1.
Okay.
I have a tie for my best.
I think if Jawheads who have listened to this podcast, they probably actually can think, if they're thinking about it right now. Rye the Movie Guy, no doubt, has Atomic Blonde, my number 1.
I'm glad I let you go first.
Was that one of your 2?
It's one of my 2.
Okay. I looked it up online, too, because I was trying to come up with ideas of John Wick wannabes. Everybody has this listed very close to the top of, like, the best since the John Wick movies came out of this style of film, right up there. Charlize Theron, you got the Cold War going on. Great long takes. The fight scenes are incredible.
I got to rewatch it. It was good.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the 80s soundtrack is incredible. And I still go back to that fight scene on the stairwell. It just awesome. I've watched it so many times. I'm like, man, I love when they must have taken a lot of time to prepare all of the choreograph that goes on with a great fight scene. And Atomic Blonde has a bunch of them. So that is definitely my number 1.
Did you see the Furiosa trailer, speaking of Charlize Theron? All right, we got to talk about that. My tie with Atomic Blonde, because I figured you probably would have it, is Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. What an unexpected turn from a guy later in his career, right? He's not an old man yet, but he's getting there. He's pretty close. He's in his mid-50s, isn't he? And he turns in this very physical performance. Also, he's pretty much known as a comedian. So, very unexpected turn. Is the movie a little corny toward the end? Yeah, when Christopher Lloyd pops up, it gets a little corny. But There's some really cool moments. That bus fight.
Oh, it was great.
Holy crap. I love Nobody. It's one I've seen twice, and I will probably watch it a third time. I really enjoyed it.
I remember thinking that was that odd time during the pandemic. It came out, I think, just after the pandemic. Maybe we were going to get a sequel. Seems like it just dead.
Yeah, underrated.
Worst. I went with a movie we did not review here on the Jaw. I watched it, and I remember thinking if this is pretty good, I'll tell Matt to watch it and we'll review it. And I never told you to watch it because it's not good.
Sometimes those are fun, Ryan.
It is called Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan, and it is a Tom Clancy book that it's based on. And it had been around in Hollywood, the script, for a long time. Keanu Reeves himself was targeted to maybe star in this movie for a little while, and it ended up, going on and on and on. And finally, Michael B. Jordan got it. And I remember thinking, like, okay, maybe this is going to be pretty good. Oh my God, what a crapper! I mean, just all it went for was the action. Sometimes when you have the action and you don't have the world building around you, and in this case, it's like a U.S. Marine guy. It just didn't have the flair that you want to have, like with an Atomic Blonde or a Nobody or a John Wick or a Monkey
boring.
Man. Yeah, it was just like too straight up of an action movie. I thought you were actually going to go Extraction.
No, I liked Extraction.
No, I'm saying for the best.
Oh. Yeah, that's a worthy choice. I just don't see that as a John Wick type movie.
I think it's in that category.
No, see, Extraction to me is more of like an espionage thriller.
No, it's got all that shooting going on.
Yeah, no, it's not the same vein for me. There's a kid in it, yada yada. It's a different kind of movie. Plus, there's a team. We're not talking about like a solo person who takes on the world. That's John Wick to me. I went with Wrath of Man for my worst. With what's his name? Oh my God, Jason Statham. Just kind of a steaming pile. Post Malone pops up in there. I remember not hating this movie, but upon like reflection, when I was trying to find my least favorite in this genre, which I actually love this genre, so it's difficult to find one that I don't like. Wrath of Man was a bit of a miss, though. It's just kind of dumb.
Really is.
Not much there to discuss.
No.
You remember it?
Oh, I remember it. I'm trying to think of it. The ending, I remember it was like in like a garage or a airplane hangar or something.
Yeah.
It had a couple of good action sequences, but you're right. This is on definitely a more forgettable side of John Wick wannabe movies. So, all right. I think the last thing we have to do is play some trivia.
All right, man. I'm ready.
And in honor of Monkey Man, we are playing Monkey Movie Trivia, Matt. Right up your alley.
Yes. Ooh, 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 ah, ah, ah.
You damn stinking ape. Any money on the line?
I mean, I got $5 left. We might as well make it double or nothing to you. So if I win, I get the 10 back.
Okay.
And if you win, you get the 10 back.
That's how it is. I mean, we are so slow here on Cinemajaw.
I told you, I had a day.
Listen to KP laugh it up.
This is really good content, guys.
All right. Question number 1 in Monkey Movie Trivia. Matt, which actress starred in 1988's Gorillas in the Mist?
Wow. Gorillas in the Mist, Jane Goodall. And I got 2 actresses in my head. 2 actresses in my head. But I'm pretty sure... Did you say 82?
88.
Pretty sure that was Meryl Streep. I think it was Sigourney.
It was Sigourney Weaver. It was Sigourney.
God damn it. Give it to me. Come on.
No, there's money on the line. Question 2 over to you, Matt. Here you go. Name the 2001 Brendan Fraser film in which he plays a cartoonist.
Monkey Bone.
That is correct.
Sigourney Weaver.
He's got 1 correct, 3 more questions to go. Who played Tarzan in 2016's Legend of Tarzan?
It wasn't Brendan Fraser, right?
No. It was reviewed here on Cinemajaw. Who played Tarzan in 2016's Legend of Tarzan? Anything?
Andy Serkis.
We're looking for Alexander Skarsgård.
Okay. I don't even remember the movie.
Yeah. You got 2 questions left. You got to get them both right. If not,
Damn it,
I'm going
Sigourney.
home, I'm going
Damn
home
it,
with my own
Sigourney.
$10. Matt, who directed 1995's 12 Monkeys?
Yeah.
You should know it.
Yeah.
The stars Bruce Willis, Brad
Oh,
Pitt.
I know the movie. Wow, this is one of those ones I'm going to kick myself.
Look at that, $10. Matt was all excited about putting that $10 in his pocket. Now it's right back out on the table. I haven't seen 12 Monkeys in a long time. They made a TV show on it, too. I've never bothered to check out. All right, we need an answer. 1995, Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, 12 Monkeys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's God damn it. I know the answer to this. It's somebody big. Ask me the next question and we'll come back to this one.
I don't know. There's money on the line.
Come on.
All right, I'll do it. For the sake of the show, I'll do it. Question 5, Matt. Name the movie that starred The Rock, a giant ape, and a giant reptile.
Rampage.
Back to question 4. You want to go back to question 4? Who directed
Sigourney Weaver.
1995's 12 Monkeys?
I'd be a winner right now if I had just gone with my fucking gut and said Sigourney Weaver. Who directed 12 Monkeys? There are jawheads out there right now screaming at their listening device, throwing their earbuds across the room in disgust with me because it's such an obvious one. Give me a hint.
No.
Come on.
No, I want my $10 back.
Come on.
We need an answer here.
You're like the paper boy in Better Off Dead.
I want my $10.
$2.
I'm going to have to buzz you.
No, don't buzz me. Come on. We can edit out the silence. Give me a moment to think. I know this. It's Did he direct Brad Pitt in other movies?
I don't believe so. But I'm not 100% on that.
All right. Well, that sort of eliminates.
All right, we need an answer.
Sam Raimi.
Looking for Terry Gilliam. Terry Gilliam. You should have known that one, Matt Kay.
Yeah.
He's one
Sigourney
of your guys.
Weaver.
Give me my money back. Wow. I win this one, Matt. You totally...
You blew it!
Yeah, that is correct. You did blow this one, Matt.
Yeah, whatever. Shove it up your ass.
I mean, if you would have gotten Sigourney Weaver, you wouldn't have blown it. But instead, you know,
blew it!
Yeah, sorry. That's just how it goes.
Sigourney, you're dead to me.
Good stuff.
You know she's going to be in the next Ghostbusters movie. I thought about it. She's the last person they can bring back. She's coming back.
Yeah. Well, it brings us to the end of a very fun and entertaining Jaw, and I have my $10 back.
I'm bitter.
You're no poorer than when you got here.
Oh, man. But
no,
he is
it's
bitter.
true.
He is
But I'm bitter.
And he needs a haircut.
I do need a haircut.
First and foremost, we got to thank our editor, producer, KP.
Oh, of course. 2 things. I will say we've done it wrong. We're going to be talking monkeys a lot this year. 2024 is not the year of the dragon because we still haven't even talked about the Planet of the Apes. We just had Kong Monkey Man. Like, we're going to start calling this Monkey Jaw. And let us know your favorite bonobo, capuchin, whatever it is. We love you. And also, just got confirmed for yet another Pancakes and Booze. Pretty soon they're just going to start calling them K-Pancakes and Booze. In my honor, June 29th, still at Reggie's.
Awesome.
Those are fun.
Also want to thank the Patreons for supporting the show. Thank you guys for supporting us. Means everything to us. If you want to join our family of Patreons, just go on over there, patreon.com/Cinemajaw. and donate whatever you want, and it opens up extras and really helps us out a lot.
And if the moths fly out of your pockets when you turn them inside out, we understand. We're that way too, especially me now after losing that bet. You can do it for free by just clicking like or subscribe or give us some stars or whatever it is on the app you're using right now. We appreciate that as well. And it's totally free.
Absolutely. Also, follow us on Instagram. Always doing some fun little video clips.
Are we going to do some
on there.
videos?
Yes, we are.
All right,
Absolutely. Always. We'll have some videos up there. Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on jawing about the movies.